Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while. I have been feeling a bit down, as you are all aware. But today I want to bring another topic, as I haven't been on camera for a while now. And I think as we are nearing to the end of the year, I just want to reminisce about the year and the things that I have learned and what I will do different next year, giving the same opportunities. So each year, I do set a personal goal, and in 2020, I quit smoking. That was my main goal for 2020, and I've actually never looked back. So happy about it. I now have become one of those people that actually hate people who smoke around me. It's crazy. And in 2022 and 2023, my main focus was saving a particular amount. And back then, my main goal was to buy a house and a land. And I did achieve that particular goal of saving that specific amount for both years. I didn't achieve the goal of buying a house and buying a land in Africa. Um, and that was mainly due to this whole ordeal because that's where, at the end of the day, all the money that I saved up went to. Um, so for this year, 2024, I came into the year and my main goal for the year was to gain financial knowledge. And so I wanted to read like every month a book about finance, how to better my financial life, and how to build generational wealth. Um, that was my main goal for 2024. And I would say, like, I didn't really achieve this goal, but I have definitely gained a lot of knowledge about finance and things that I would definitely do different. Um, so I realized that I can earn money, um, but I don't know how to manage it effectively for long term. So although I didn't achieve the initial goal that I set of reading one book a month, so 12 book for the year on finance, I did read three books about finance, and I also exposed myself to financial knowledge. So, like knowledge about investing, growth, how to grow your capital, and taxes. So, as the year comes close, and I find myself back in the same situation I've always been, and although it's due to this whole gang stalking deal, because no matter how you turn it, if this wasn't in my life, my position would definitely not be the same. You know, like I said, a goal setter. I set goals and I do not waste money on stupid things, and especially the last year, I have wasted a lot of money on hotels. And if you just do the math, the average hotel costs around 150 a night, and calculate that for 1 year. That's the amount of money I have wasted on hotels, which shouldn't have been the case, you know. But anyway, I digress. So back to my notes. So I want to acknowledge the mistakes I made outside this whole gang stalking thing, and giving the chance what I would do differently. So all challenges apart in terms of the coordinated group harassment, bullying, sabotage, torture, anything that is related to this being targeted. That aside, um, one thing I noticed, I actually thought a lot about it, is taxes. I have become very wary about taxes, and it has become some kind of a stance whereby I reject taxes, because I've noticed that for a while, for a long time actually, I have been in the highest tax bracket, and I do not earn as much as those people that are above 200K and stuff, that they actually should be in the highest tax bracket. I'm not even there, but still I am in that type of tax bracket. And if I think about it, it's crazy. So let's say for every dollar that I make, for every dollar, every pound, every euro, wherever you are based in the world. So for example, Netherlands and Belgium. I lived in Netherlands and Belgium. I was paying 50% tax. That means every euro I make, I have to give 50% of that euro to the government. And that is crazy. It's crazy because as a business owner, if you have a company, it's different. The tax system is different. So as a private person having a normal regular income and then having to give up 50% of your earning to some entity is just insane. So this is something that has become my obsession, and that is basic the knowledge that I wanted to learn more about it, because I mean, the richest of the richest, they barely pay any taxes in the world, you know. Um, in the UK, the equivalent of that is 40%. So any income I earn in the UK is mostly 40% that I have to stand off to the UK entities. And so, in the next job, given the same opportunities as I have had in the past before the sabotage of me finding a job, if next year or anytime soon I get another chance to do things differently, I know exactly the mistakes that I make and how I can go about it by turning it around. So, this is what I learned: rent. I have been living in the UK since 2013. I came here in 2013, and I think I start initially when I came, I stayed in like a flat share for like 6 months, and I hated it. So I rented out my own place. The first place that I rented was like £1,500. That was like one bedroom flat, 1,500. And since then, I think I have been in flat share maybe one, two, three times in total in my life. And all those other times I was renting apartments, and apartments were equivalent of 1,500 to 1,600, 1,700 pounds. That means you are paying more than 20, 25, 30K a year to a landlord in rent. I will never do that again. Like, never. If I would have bought something by now, I would have been better off. That's definitely a mistake that I made. So, moving forward, that is definitely something I will never do again. There is something in London right now that is called London Living Rent, which is a government funded um, program for to give Londoners the ability to have cheaper rents. And if you go on the platform, just Google London living rent if you are based in London. Then you will see like flats advertised, and these are like affordable flats, And I think the maximum that you pay is like thousand pounds. So if I'm going to rent, this is what I will do. Or otherwise, consider living outside London if you can. If you are maybe a content creator full time, or that you are working remotely, it's better to live outside London. And I think the positive side of me living in hotels for these past months that I've been here, is that I was able to explore other parts of London. I know what I dislike and I know what I like. For example, I was surprised about Kingston. Kingston is like such an amazing area. It's beautiful, and all the towns after Kingston are beautiful, but Kingston is still like a city vibe, you know, but still is still a bit remote. So places like Kingston or Wimbledon, it's it's better. I think it's a bit cheaper than being in zone 1 or 2. So that also should be an option. Even Mitcham is good. And so London Live Rent is something that I will use. And the other thing is minimize tax liabilities. If I could never pay taxes, I will be happy. Like, hopefully, one day I will move to a country where I never have to pay tax. But definitely minimize tax liabilities by maximizing, for example, pension contribution. Um, your employer deducts pension from your wages, and you can maximize that by putting more into your pension fund. So if your employer is giving you like 7% on top of your pension, you can also personally put in more into your pension fund. So put in the maximum amount that you can put in. Utilize lifetime ESAs, and this is something that I actually found out this year. Um, I've heard about it before, but this is the year that I actually digged into more about what the ESA is. Um, and it's up until the age of 40 that you can apply for lifetime ESA. And I think this is definitely something that you should look into. It's a very good one. And investing in stocks and shares ESAs, I think that is also another way that I will definitely utilize going forward. Um, Maintaining a regular savings account, and I have to say I've saved a lot of money with regular banks. I barely got peanuts on top of it. So it's really not worth it to keep all your savings in a savings account. I think right now Revolut recently offered something for 2 point something percent on your savings. It's still little, it's peanuts, but it's at least better than what you get with Barclays or any other regular bank. So maintain part of my savings in a regular bank account, and I will also actually split my savings up. So normally I have just one savings account. Like, I had a goal of saving a particular amount to buy a house, and I was like, okay, I need to save that down deposit, and I put it there in an account. But this account is not really blocked. I can actually gain access to it whenever I need it. So I think the best thing will be for me to split it up. Maybe one for emergency in case of, let's say, you lose your job or something, and then another savings that you block for a particular time. Let's say that you put it away for maybe 4 or 5 years, and another savings for anything that might happen, like if you drive a car, your car breaks down or something, unexpected expenses, you know, that might help as well. So the savings for blocking for a couple of years, savings for emergency fund in case of anything that happens, and then a third one for just to save. Um, that is one way that I will definitely do it. I will definitely split my savings up. And then also, another thing I've also discovered is shared ownership scheme. So I think a lot of people know about it, but have you actually looked into it? It's pretty lucrative. So shared owner scheme in the UK is you can buy a house, and let's say you only have to pay like 14,000. Like it's your ownership of share can be like 25% that you own the property, and then each year you can increase it until you own it fully. So you wouldn't have to give a huge down payment to that property. um, some goes as far as like 30% ownership, and then the rest is to the other party or the organization that is offering that. And eventually the more you earn, the more you can put in so that you become full owner. So you are basically paying off rent to own. And I think that is a very good idea for buying without having to invest too much upfront. So shared ownership is definitely something I will consider if I'm going to buy a house here in the UK. And for that, because I initially thought like, okay, right now how the market looks like, I will have to I will have to make at least minimum 50K, and that is like the lowest, to be able to buy a house. Um, and 50K in London, I don't know what you will get for it, but with shared ownership, it's possible. Even the minimum, if you earn 30K, you can still buy a house. So I think this is definitely a good idea. Um, and then the other part is Airbnb, rent to rent. I've been looking into ways to make money outside the regular traditional businesses. And I constantly came across Airbnb. The Airbnb, not in terms of that you have your own property and you are making Airbnb out of it, but renting a place, um, getting a deal with the landlord that you are going to rent that place to make an Airbnb business model out of it, and maybe sharing some of the profits with the landlord so that they will allow you to do that, rather than that you are renting to live there. So I think this is definitely another model that I want to explore, as I want to focus more on other means of income. If you have a job, to not only focus on one stream of income but have multiple sources of income. It's really, really important right now. The more freedom or independent you want to become, the better. Because let's face it, you can't just rely on employers. I mean, look at me now. I'm searching for a job. I never had any issues with finding a job, but this has been like the toughest, the longest that I have actually had no job. So if I had my business, I think I would not be so desperate to search for a job. So having multiple sources of income, I think that's the best way. So the Airbnb business model is definitely lucrative because it's very easy to do. You rent a place, and you can even help the landlord because you are going to maintain it. If you don't have time, don't do it. But if you have time, you'll be able to do it. Let's say you rent out a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment, and your Airbnb, the average Airbnb in London is, I think, around 150 upwards. They are even more expensive than hotels right now. So 150, and that is per night. Do the math. It's very lucrative, and let's say you give 10% to the landlord on top of the rent that you are normally paying with them. You keep the property neat. You are constantly upkeeping it, cleaning, maintenance, and everything. So Airbnb business model is definitely a good strategy to go. And then also in terms of investment, like I said, that you will split your savings account into three. Um, I will also put some part of your income into investment, and investment at least for 5 years. So you put your money somewhere for 5 years that you can't touch, and you are still adding to it. So I think that's also another way. Diversifying your investments is another way to go, so that you don't risk everything in just one pot. Um, Obviously, there are major stocks that you can invest in, but you can also invest in like the ESAs that I mentioned. Um, so diversify is another way. Um, and then another strategy is also focusing on countries. If you are cash rich, that you can afford to get a second passport, that is also an option. And this was actually, I came across this YouTuber. He bought a passport, and I was thinking in my head, are you crazy for that amount? I think he spent like 150K, $150,000 to buy a passport. This is a Nigerian YouTuber, Tayo Aina. And so he's a Nigerian. He lives in Nigeria. And as a Nigerian, he is constantly stereotyped because Nigerian people have such bad reputations in terms of travel. It's really awful. If you know any Nigerian, ask them how it is to travel with a Nigerian passport. So for him, it was making his work impossible. And he decided to invest in getting a passport, a citizenship from another country, and not by ways of the traditional migration thing, but as an investment. And as a successful YouTuber, I believe he just reached the million followers. He got an opportunity to invest or get a passport from, what is it called? St. Kitts and Nevis? No, St. Kitts and Nevis or Nevis. Um, yeah, so he's the official passport holder of St. Kitts and Nevis. So right now you can get a second passport in countries such as St. Kitts and Nevis, and I think there it starts with 250K dollars plus fees. And Antigua and Barbuda, um, or Armenia and Vanuatu. Is it Vanuatu? So these are the countries that are offering second citizenship in terms of investment, and they are, yeah, tax friendly countries. So these are all options that you can explore. But I think for me personally, the main focus will definitely be to pay as little tax as possible. I'm not telling people to hide from taxes, but be smart about it. Get an accountant if you can afford it. If you can't afford it, the ways that you can go about it, as I've mentioned here, is to put as much possible into your pension fund because it's tax deductible. Then you pay less tax on your income. And putting your money into investment, you also pay less tax. So these are all avenues that I will definitely, um, yeah, I will definitely explore for if I get another opportunity again. And another thing, also the another mistake that I actually made was by being targeted and being harassed. I let fear lead to a lot of decisions that I made. So I think I moved to Amsterdam when 2021, and I got an apartment, beautiful apartment, like in Amsterdam, at the canals. Was beautiful, beautiful place, like shopping center around. I could literally go grocery shopping on my bike. Well, perfect. Um, and I discovered that these people are coming into my flat and the same tactics, being followed and finding things in the house. I think I even found like one of these extensions. I found it in my flat, and I'm like, oh my god, somebody had been there, So the fear got into me. I couldn't sleep. I had to block my doors with my luggages and everything before I could sleep, because I was thinking, like, if I'm sleeping, somebody's coming in. At one point, I even thought that I was sleeping and somebody was touching me while I was sleeping. So this became a fear and angst, anxiety. And I gave that apartment up. And that's where my homelessness started. The moment I gave that apartment up, I didn't know anything about the Netherlands housing market because there was a crisis, or there is still a crisis going on in the Netherlands, that there is a shortage of housing. When I left the Netherlands as a teen, or in my early, you know, when I was much younger. I left the Netherlands in 2010. And before I left, the rents were very low, like affordable. There were no housing issues. Maybe if you wanted like government housing, then you will have to be on the waiting list. But even the waiting list was not that horrible. Uh, I had my own apartment for, I think, for like 10 years before I moved to the city, for example. So it was quite easy to get a place in the Netherlands when I moved. So 2010 I left, 2013 I came to the UK. Even in the UK, I never had any issues with finding a place to live. So fast forward to 2021, I got that place 2022, before Christmas 2022. I gave that place up. So 1 year I lived there. And then once I gave it up, I couldn't find another place. And I was working. I think back then I was working for IBM, or I don't know. I was working for a tech company, one of these major tech companies. And then I couldn't find another place to live. So then I moved in with this man, an acquaintance who I saw him as a father figure. And later, oh my god, this is the year that I became, or I got acquainted with betrayal. Oh, 2024 was definitely the year of betrayal. This man, I literally had him on a pedestal. I thought he was such a good person. Like so good. The way he used to help me and being so helpful, He was actually my only friend when I was back in the Netherlands, because I left in 2010 and then I came back 2021, end of 2021. So a lot of years had passed. All my old network, everything was gone. So I was practically a stranger in the Netherlands again. And, oh, God, I'm filming this on the bed. Yeah, so this man came in my life and he presented himself. Well, actually, he came to clean my house, and that flat that I gave up, the apartment. And then I was talking to him. I'm a friendly person, and if I notice that you come from Africa, like we are practically, brother, sister, or whatever, because you are from my continent. So I found out that he was from Africa, from Ghana. Obviously, I'm from Ghana as well. So I started talking to him. But he came as a cleaner to clean my flat. And this is how he kind of, yeah, let's become friends. I will show you around. If you need any help, I can help you and stuff. That's how he came into my life. So 2022, when I left that place and I couldn't find another place, he said like, "Oh yeah, I have a spare room. You can use that." And I wasn't expecting anything. He never gave me like weird things like some men are, that they want something from you or not. So I saw him like a father figure. I had a lot of respect for him, and then I moved into his place. But fast forward this year, I found out that he was actually part of this whole gang stalking thing, and that he had been since the beginning. I was so stupid. So that was the betrayal. And that, oh my God, that hurt me. I'm still angry about it. I'm so angry and upset about it. But yeah, so I think I lived at his place for 1 or 2 months. And he lived in the southeast of the Amsterdam. And I got sick in his apartment. I don't know why. I'm very allergic to mold and all these things, and I think he had mold in the flat. So I was constantly sick, and my feet was breaking down. I had an accident when I was younger, and things were like I literally couldn't walk anymore. My whole body was breaking down when I was at his place. So I called my sister, I begged my sister to let me stay with her. And then she let me stay with her. And but sadly, she had this awful new boyfriend in her life who is a narcissist and probably a sociopath. Um, so that also didn't work out. And then I stayed with her 1 month. And then because of the boyfriend, I left. And I left, and then I had to check myself into a hotel. And I was thinking, like, hey, back then in 2010, when I was working for this American company, um, I really liked the housing in Belgium. Like, Belgium housing is top notch, it's on a different level. Anywhere I've lived, like, Belgium housing is the best. Big spaces, kitchen is fully equipped, everything in there with the best appliances, German brands, and you have space like bathroom. You can have two bathrooms. Like you live in luxury as long as you can afford it. It's just top notch. So I was thinking like, oh, why don't I actually try to live in Belgium again, but this time not in Brussels because I hated Brussels. Brussels is such a dirty city. But Antwerp is very cute, it's clean, and it's, yeah, very European esque, and also similar to the Netherlands. So, and it was also close to the Dutch border. I'm like, yeah, why don't you try Antwerp? And this is how I ended up in Antwerp. So that was in February 2023. I end up in Antwerp. And at that time, I wasn't being sabotaged by these people. So I managed to find a place easily. And I think I moved in April 2023, not knowing when I moved to that place, it was a new building and it was already shady. The contract was very strange. The contract that the place was being rented out by a fake entity. This person was so called an NGO based in Nigeria, and he is Dutch born but grew up in Belgium. Like, very weird. They took like elements of my life and created a persona around it. And that was supposedly my landlord. So I knew that this was a gang stalking apartment. The moment I got in, I could see holes drilled in the ceiling. If I was in a bathroom doing just peeing, there was an echo as if I was being recorded. So the sound was bouncing back, and that's not normal. So I noticed all of this, and I told the agency that was rented it out to me. So these people, because they were expatriates, supposedly, and they have an NGO in Nigeria. He and his wife is so-called British, but she grew up in Belgium, and he is Dutch. He grew up in a village that I grew up as a child in the Netherlands, and I think his date of birth was the same year as mine. Like, a lot of elements from my life, that was their persona, you know and they never gave me their bank account. So the agency had to create a bank account for them. So whenever I had to transfer money, it was going to the agency's bank account, and then they told me that they will transfer it to the company. So I was only dealing with the agency. I never saw these supposedly landlords. And so once I got into the place, I started noticing really strange things. People were coming into the flat when I was away. I could see like feet mark in the carpet. And that started scaring me. And then I also saw that the building was empty. I was the first person on my floor. And later on, this guy came, Yannick Lefebvre. Oh my God, now I remember his name. Yannick Lefebvre. This was a Canadian guy. And I was even excited, like, oh, I thought I was going to be the only person on this floor, but that's nice that there is a new neighbor. And I asked him, like, oh, when did you move in and stuff? And then he told me the story, like, oh, he got an opportunity to move to Antwerp for this new job that he was going to start. So he was excited about it. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. Well, if you need anything, just holler because I'm next door. And this was the first gang stalker that came into the building. But back then, I didn't have the same knowledge as I had now. So I thought that he was just a normal neighbor. And then later on, another one came, a Moroccan guy, Moroccan or Algerian, and he was the opposite neighbor. So those two people. And then later on, I started noticing my bike was being flattened. People were coming into my place. And then the recordings, all the holes in the ceiling. This is a new building. How can there be holes in the ceiling? Like tiny, tiny holes. So I started complaining to the agents. They came to look, like, oh, oh, that's normal. It's like, no, there's nothing. I don't hear anything. Gaslighting, you know? So at one point, I think after a month or two living there, I got so stressed because I became very fearful. Oh, yeah, there was an incident. So I had two bedrooms, and I decorated one bedroom as my bedroom and one bedroom as a place where I as a dressing bedroom plus my study because I was working from home. And so one day I was sleeping, and then I woke up and there was this object laid next to my pillow. And I knew I didn't place that object there. Everything was locked in the bedroom. So I was wondering, how is this possible that this object was placed next to me? It drove me insane. I couldn't figure it out. The door was locked with a key and even blocked because remember, in Amsterdam, I was blocking my door with luggages. It has been something that up until this day I still do. So I had locked the door and I blocked it with heavy luggages, and the other door was also locked. Windows closed, everything is closed. There is no way that somebody can come in and put an object next to my bed. So I woke up and this object is next to my bed. It was an anise seed, and I'm like, who put this here? How did it get here? So that freaked me out because I couldn't find what way that object was placed next to my bed. And because of that, I became fearful to sleep in that bedroom. And all the time that I was living there, I stopped using the bedroom and I stationed myself in the living room, sleeping on the sofa. It was such an ordeal. And then finding that people are coming into the flat, food marks in there, somebody peeing in my washing machine. When I do my laundry, everything, all my clothes will smell like pee. You know, horrible thing that they were doing to me there. And every time I will pump my bike, they will empty and flatten my bike every time. So I got fed up. After 2 months, I told those people, I don't know what is happening here, but I don't feel safe. I do not feel safe at all because random people are coming in here. They didn't want to change the locks, and I just got scared. And in Belgium, you sign a contract. The lease is for 3 years, 6 years, or 9 years. And I took 3 years. So I took 3 years plus 3 months of deposit. And after 2 months, I told this agent, I do not feel safe. Can we break the lease? Because I don't know what is going on. And you guys are saying that you don't know anything. There is nothing going on here. But I do not feel safe to stay in this place. So I told him that I wanted to break the lease. And he told me, okay, well, if the landlord agreed, then you can break the lease with 3 months' notice. He sent he sent a text to the landlord, and they accepted it. And then I was thinking about it. So, for example, today I tell them, tomorrow they accept it, and that next day, so within 3 days, I was thinking about, Linda, this is the exact same thing you did in the Netherlands. You allow these people to push you away, and now you are doing the same thing again. And I thought, like, maybe this is what they want. Maybe this is the strategy that you keep leaving your place because everything is cost related. When I move, I have to rent a moving company, everything, you know. So I was like, fuck them, just try to stay and just sit it out. Just sit it out, whatever it is, face it. Because every time it's like you are running away from whatever it is that they are doing to you. And I told them, like, hey, I've actually thought about it and I've changed my mind. I no longer want to break the lease. And then he starts smiling or laughing, like, huh, but you already gave up your notice, in Dutch, like, very silly. You already gave up your notice, and the landlord has already accepted. I don't think he's going to change his mind. I'm like, that is crazy. I have not missed any payments. I haven't been a bad tenant. Everything in the house is spick and span. I'm a very neat person. There's nothing that you can say that she is a bad tenant. I do not cause um, issues with my neighbors. I do not play loud music or whatever. Like, I'm not a nuisance to anyone. So, how is it that you, as a landlord, so called landlord, if I tell you that I want to change, I'm changing my mind of letting go of the lease that is supposed to be 3 years, and I'm just in the flat for 2 months. If I change my mind, you should be happy. Like, oh, that's great. You're staying. That save us time and effort to find a new tenant, you know? But no, because they want to take my deposit, and it's a bullion tactic of them, so they declined. And another Belgian person told me, like, I should not have left that place. But because I am somebody who always plays by the rule, I agreed and I left. And ever since, I haven't been able to find another place up until this current situation that I'm in. This is the whole story of how I became homeless, practically, you know, because I allowed these people to push me out of that place where I was living. And then late on, I gave up my job and everything, like not being able to find another job, being sabotaged because even if I apply, there are no emails coming in and everything. This is the whole ordeal. I left that place October 2023. 2023 of, yeah, 2023 October. And then I think I wanted to live in Africa. I was thinking maybe I can live there for, I tried to see Africa is cheaper. I had my savings and everything. Like I told you, I always make financial goals. So I had that financial goal achieved for 2023. So I was going to live in Africa with that money. But then I went to Ghana, and the same thing followed me there. But in Ghana, it was like government people. I saw people with government cars, like these tinted black cars, SUVs, that were practically following me around. So that didn't work. And then I think I was imprisoned in some hotel, some dodgy ass hotel. And then from there, I moved into a property of my aunt, whose child is in the UK. So she is deceased and her child has inherited that property. So she told me, like, yeah, go there. But her help in that house, they were also being hired by these people to bully me and to monitor me 24/7. So eventually I left. I told her that I couldn't stay there. I didn't feel safe in Ghana, and the way things were going, I wouldn't be able to live there, under that situation. If that situation wasn't there, then I could have lived there, maybe built a business or something. So I decided to go back to the UK, and then she told me, like, yeah, come, I will help you find a room here and stuff. That didn't pan out. I went to the UK. She lives in Luton, so I arrived in Luton. She allowed me to stay in 2 weeks in a hotel before she told me to come to her house, which was odd. But now I know that she was also part of it, you know. So with her, I stayed like, I think I stayed there like 4 or 6 months. And when I found out that she was part of it, I couldn't stay there. I didn't feel good to be betrayed. That was for betrayal number one. I wasn't expecting that from a family member. I mean, my grandmother, my mother's mother brought her to Europe, you know. So I wasn't expecting that from a family member. And I left there. I think I left there in April 2024. And then I went to the Netherlands. And then I contacted this friend, this old man, that I thought that he was so good. And he allowed me to sleep on his sofa. And that's where I found out that he was part of this whole ordeal. And there was somebody in there who raped me. And I left that place angry, upset, and everything that is upsetting. It was a very negative experience. I hate those people so much for everything that happened to me there. Like, I have a scar on my leg that up until today hasn't gone away. I don't know what they did to me while I was sleeping. I know I was drugged and I was most likely raped by one of those men there. So I got a tax break. You know, I was working and I was paying 50% tax. And because I'm an expat in the Netherlands, I got a tax break. Was so lucky. And that money had sustained me up until now. Now it's finished. And this is how I ended up back again in the UK. My whole plan was to stay in Belgium. I like Antwerp. Antwerp was the place that I felt like good, you know. But I tried to get a place. Sabotage, sabotage, sabotage. Nothing came out of it. So I decided to come to UK again and try a year. And now the same thing is happening. So yeah, next time if I get a place, I will not move. I think that's it. Yeah, by God's grace, if I get another opportunities, these are the things that I would definitely do differently. It has been a tough year, and although I feel like it's a shame because I feel like it's a wasted year, but just going through the things that I've learned, you know, I have encountered 2 or 3 times betrayal, which I didn't even know what it was. I know that it hurts a lot. That man, that old man, that was the ultimate betrayal. I don't know why. I had him on such high pedestal. And for that person to betray you, and then for somebody to abuse me while I was sleeping, drugging me, and all those things, oh my God, there was a special hell for that man because he played that game so well. I trusted him. I really trusted him. I ate with him. And the one thing is, he was somebody because I'm a very good cook. I like to cook, and majority of people like my food. I noticed every time I made food, He will go outside to the hallway of the building and then spend like a few minutes there, come in, and then before he will eat, he will pray. He was like, I was like thinking, like, is this guy afraid that I'm poisoning him or something? Or I know Ghanaian people are, they never eat from other people because they think it's voodoo, 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 you know? So most of the time, Ghanaian people don't take food from other people. So I was thinking, does he think that I have that kind of ability? If I had that kind of ability, I wouldn't be going through this situation that I'm in. But now I know because one day I had a dream, and in the dream, this same man told me that they had the station next door, that this whatever organization that is doing all of this, that their station was next door. In the dream, he told me that. And I actually told him about that dream. I'm somebody that dreams things and that actually happens. That's how I found out. So every time he was going to the hallway, he was actually going to them to ask if I put anything in the food or whatever he was thinking that I was doing to him. Wicked, wicked old man, wicked man. I respected him so much because he was like the same age as my mother. You come from the same background. Like you are Ghanaian, you know? He was very humble, like one of those people that is known in the community. He goes to church. He is somebody that helps everybody, not knowing you are Satan in disguise. That, oh my God, that betrayal, it was like somebody stabbing a knife in your heart. I will never forget that. That was my first time ever in my life that I have been betrayed by somebody that I looked up to so much. That man, I will never forget him. And not because of his kindness. So, yeah, this was all I wanted to discuss today. Say no to poverty, set goals, even if everything around you is falling apart. Still dream, set goals, and refuse to be poor. Don't give all your money, your earnings, your hard work to some entity. Because at the end of the day, now that I need help, none of them are helping me. I'm being chased away, I'm being bullied away. So, what is the point? Why should I pay 50% tax or 40% tax to you? But yeah, that's it. Till next time.